the best marketers on the planet test 1 billion hooks to find the hook that works. Like it's just and
every
you think,
single
like,
word
so good. And each one of like each genius marketer that you see will tell you the same thing. Some of the ideas that I come up with, I think are going to be gangbusters, fall flat. Most of them do. And like they just let the market dictate the result.
Insurance dudes are on a mission to escape being handcuffed by our agencies.
How? By uncovering the secrets to creating a predictable, consistent, and profitable agency sales machine.
I am Craig Pretzinger.
I am Jason Feldman.
We are agents.
We are insurance dudes.
So just to make it super pragmatic, we're gonna name this podcast, and you can't use my name, right? So meaning like, because you're gonna put this out in the world, right? And you're gonna go like, probably, I mean, by the way, listeners, I have no inside knowledge of this, but there's probably some kind of like, one of you will say, hey, what if we call it that? And the other one will either say, yeah, that's good. Or I kind of like this better. And then the other one will probably say, okay, cool. But there's no sense of what are 100, by the way, we could use ChatGPT now, so it's not hard.
Right.
What are 100 possible titles for this episode? Because the default, the kind of the default orientation is we need the right answer. Now, and this isn't a math problem, y'all. Like a math problem has one right answer, right?
Right.
The name of this episode, there is no right answer.
Right.
You're looking for the best answer, right? But it's not about right and wrong. And yet our default orientation is what's the best? What's the good one? What's the right one? Rather than what are a ton, you know, and then the way I've actually been doing some research with generative AI to understand how do human beings even kind of leverage AI to get maximum potential out of it. And what's funny is you come to AI, you do the same thing that you do yourself. It's called satisficing. Herbert Simon won the Nobel Prize back in the 50s for this. People settle for good enough.
Right.
And so what you've got to do is you got to kind of trip your goal. You got to change your orientation to say, it's actually not about right. It's about lots.
I love that. What you just said reminds me of the book From Good to Great, and it's good is the enemy of great because that's where you stop.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's
totally
so true. And as we get older, Craig and I deal with this. I mean, you see older. I always wonder why do older people say like, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at technology. I'm not, and they define these things, and it's like. As I'm getting older, I see that things seem to be getting harder, or like I stop learning about these things. And it's like, oh my gosh, like I hit these plateaus of which I feel that it's enough. And then it's like, for some reason, shut it off, where it's like, I'm not constantly like a child, right?
We're not curious, right?
Curiosity.
Yeah. We're not bringing curiosity to the thing.
It makes you admire somebody like Kevin Kelly. You know, one of my heroes is Kevin Kelly. The founder of Wired magazine. And to this day, he has a daily art practice where he creates a piece of art every day. But now instead of painting as he used to, he uses Midjourney and DALL-E, and he's using generative AI to create art. But you can follow him on Twitter. Every day there's a new image, and they're striking, they're stunning. But to me, he's a good example of somebody who's kind of put himself on that learning edge. And he said, I'm going to learn in public. And that's going to be my accountability so that I don't let myself off the hook. But I think it's exceptionally rare. I think having a podcast actually is a great way to do that, right? You're forcing yourselves to learn and interface with new ideas. And now there's still the question of, do you do anything with it? Do you just, is it water off a duck's back, or do you really internalize it? Do you operationalize it? But to me, like the first step is actually just a matter of surface area. And to me, a podcast is actually a fantastic mechanism for increasing the surface area of your likelihood of encountering new information. To nerd out for 1 second, what most people don't realize is, how do you spark your imagination? The way you spark your imagination is to expose it to new information. Very simply, new and unexpected inputs are the things that trigger. And going back to Copernicus, or is it Kepler? Yeah, I mean, Copernican in nature, but Kepler, the thing that's amazing, the prevailing view at that time was the heavens were a firmament. Literally, they were fixed. It was a thing, like a fixed thing, right? And Johannes Kepler, looking up in the night sky one night, he sees a shooting star. This is a new input. Right. And the question that came to his mind was, why isn't the firmament cracking? And if the firmament's not cracking and that thing is moving, it can't be firmament. Whatever it is, it's not firmament, right?
Right.
But the point is, new information is what sparked this radical leap of imagination. And what I think, getting back maybe to something you were saying a second ago, Jason, is like as we grow and as we kind of, you could say, as we burrow, we become more and more insulated. We don't expose ourselves to new information.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like like you asked me for a story at the beginning. Another great story. Like I was working with an unnamed auto manufacturer, and I found out all their executives. This is mind blowing to me. Two things. One, they never have to fill up their own cars because a gasoline truck drives around the parking lot. Okay.
Oh my God.
Talk about insulation. The other thing, they never have to go through the financing process because whenever the new model of the car comes out, the company just swaps it out for all the executives.
Yeah, why would they want to see how it works?
Dude, right? But it's like, you wonder why the experience sucks.
Right.
Because no one who has the authority to change it has ever experienced how bad it is.
No, they're having a great experience. You mean everybody doesn't get their car filled up when they're at work?
Exactly.
It just happens.
But the point is, if they would allow themselves a new experience, they would get information that would trigger their, like, what could we do to reinvent this? But they've never had that question because they've never viscerally experienced or even probably talked to, you know, the kind of person who's in there haggling over, you know, dollars and cents for a financing deal. Right.
But then they're not right anymore. So it's their ego protecting them, right?
Yeah, they have to sacrifice their belief that they know everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Crazy. I love that. I love that. It reminds me of like, I mean, I was an employee most of my life and then became a business owner 7 years ago. But I mean, I was for longer than that, or over 15 years, I was an employee. So I know what it feels like to like be on the front lines and then have the business owner that doesn't really understand it. And like, you're on the front line, you're like, but this is what's really going on. They're like, no, we're going to do it this way. And feeling like, dude, if I was running this, I'd know exactly what to do. And they're not making those moves because they're not seeing it from the front line. So it's just interesting, like how we do move on and we don't, at some point we like lose touch with that and don't plug back into that ground floor.
Well, because it's not efficient, right? Like if you watch a child play, it's maddening because it's like, this is just attach it. You know, it's like, move on.
Yeah.
You know, you watch, like, I don't know about you. Like I have 4 daughters and one is still very small. And we walk around the block. It's like the irony of it is not lost on me because it's utterly hypocritical for me to like want to get through this walk so fast. Right. But I watch her. She wonders at everything, and wondering at everything is, from like a caloric perspective, it's incredibly expensive. And so we stop wondering and then we stop imagining, but then we end up in a place where we get disrupted, right? And but we can't do it everywhere or all the time. We never get anything done, right? So there are really good reasons why we bias towards efficiency and we focus, and then we have heuristics. Heuristics work for a reason. It's just whenever they get toppled, and we've seen this in society, we've seen it in business also, who in like Kodak, they missed the digital revolution, right? Yeah, and they invented digital photography. They were the holders of all the patents, right? It's like, if it shouldn't have blindsided anybody, it's like who invented it, right?
But don't we own that patent?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, it is a paradox, but the leaders who say, you know what, how do I unleash my people? Especially people on the front lines who are interfacing with the problems, who are, a lot of leaders will say, don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. That's not an innovation leader.
Right.
An innovation leader says, I love problems. That's a good one. What are we going to do about that? Right. Because they recognize, to say the most like kindergarten obvious thing in this entire show, a problem is a necessary precondition to a solution.
Right.
And 100%. So the people who attend to problems tend to court lightning. Lightning tends to strike people who pay attention to problems more. And yet, for a lot of leaders, they go, no, I just want solutions. Just tell me the answer. Well, the best questions don't have easy answers. And so if you just want my answers, I'm going to give you the easy problems and the easy answers rather than this is not straightforward and it's inconvenient and it's inefficient. Right. And so you have to, a lot of times it ultimately gets down to the pragmatics of how do we create the space to not just do the efficient thing, but also work effectively in regards to the future? And right now, what a lot of people are doing is they're trading future profitability for present urgency, and it's a fool's bargain.
Yeah.
Mm. So when you talk to leadership, do you train them on creating margin for like contemplation and
have to? Yeah, we'll do a calendar audit for sure. So show me your calendar. Here's a simple exercise. Say, what are 2 or 3 things? Like we can play through it if you want, but I'll give you and anybody listening can just do this practically for yourself. Consider your present business, consider what's going on, and just say, what are 2 or 3 things that if you gave them effort and attention, had the potential to really move the needle in a meaningful way? 2 or 3 things. Take one of those things, just start with it. Hopefully everybody's got something in their mind. How much time would you need to give that thing per week in order to really kind of give it appropriate valence? For me, as I interface with it, like I'll just tell you all, one thing that I've thought is I should be devoting more effort to outbound efforts to book keynotes. I do keynotes that come inbound, and with a book, you get like a little bit of inbound, but I've never really unleashed outbound. And so as I actually went through this thought exercise myself. I use all the, I'm like the surgeon who operates on himself first. I said, you know what? I need like 2 or 3 hours probably per week to really be dedicated. And then the next thing is, okay, open your calendar and block 2 or 3 hours per week for the next 6 months. And then you go, wait, I'm sorry, what?
yeah.
You go, okay, that's the next thing, right? And you go, well, my calendar's crazy for the next couple of weeks. Okay, great. Starting 3 weeks from now, block 2 or 3 hours per week and just call it, for me, outbound, keynote, drumming, whatever, right? It doesn't matter. Drum upping. And then here's the interesting thing. Look at your calendar for the past month and total up the total number of hours that you spent doing the thing that you said would be a meaningful impact to your business. Almost always that number is, it's a fraction. It's not even a whole integer, right?
Right.
Well,
and you go, well, how are you expecting to move the business forward if you aren't creating space to do that? Right.
Yeah.
Most people, I've observed this, and I see it again, like I see it in a mirror for myself first, but it's like we play calendar Tetris. And the blocks are coming in and we're like, and we're fitting everything in. Then we go, I don't have time for the strategic stuff. It's like, okay, doofus, who fit everything to the rails? Is that you? Right. Well, it's like the, classic big rocks. It's like, if you don't put the big rocks in the jar first, don't be surprised that the thing fills up with sand, period. Yep.
I love that. Yeah, it's so important. And it is funny how once we get past it, we do look back and it's like, you let all the little distractions take your day. You don't take the day.
And I think our world, it's so easy to get lost in the BS of being an operator instead of being an owner. Yeah. And it took years it took me years to shift from, like, I don't talk to the customers anymore. Right. Like I am doing strategic things. We have the other businesses, but it took a plan to get there. Right. There was strategy involved to pull me out and fire myself.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's life changing, right? That's a totally different thing than being in there taking payments and telling myself that it's moving the needle because now they like me because it's like, no, dude, no.
How did that realization dawn upon you in your business?
It was actually a lot of talking with Jason. Jason and I met and we were on the phone a lot and just chatting all the time before we started the podcast. But we were just
one of my highest strengths in like Strength Finder and everything is like futurist. And so like I'm all like, my favorite thing to do is strategically plan stuff. Like I do not like working in the business. I love working on the business. I love thinking ahead. Yeah. I love coming up with strategies. My problem is like the implementation, especially consistency of that, where I need to put people in place to do that because I just,
get bored.
I do.
We get very excited and then bored. Move on to the next.
The devil's in the details there, right? And then it's understanding where the tendency, I think, of most folks is to get caught up with. I mean, I cannot tell you. I wish I actually need to find it because I wanted to do like an Instagram post about it. But I wanted to ask people where are they stuck? Yeah, this is like I'm in a session with 40 executives at global, Fortune 20 company. I've got 40 executives, and we're just going to role play this little thing. It's like, where are you stuck? What are you trying? What else could you try? When are you going to do it? What's next? Simple thing. Where everyone got hung up was, I don't have time to do this. It's like, wait, what?
That's so crazy.
I don't.
There's
where
no
are you
such
stuck?
thing,
I don't
right?
have any time. It's like, okay, it's so meta, right? But I think they've mistaken this notion of attending meetings with actually making progress. And not all movement is progress, right? And there's a lot of movement right now that's basically hamster wheeling rather than actually advancing work. And I've often said, so leaders, if there's no new information, there's no new conversation. And so what are you going to do in the next week that's creating new information that begets a new conversation? And for a lot of people, it's an unlock because it's only in taking action that we're creating, there's a lot of talk about big data right now. I'm a big believer in little data, where through scrappy experiments and low resolution prototypes, you're actually creating meaningful data sets from which you can make better decisions. But if you don't get in the habit of commissioning scrappy experiments, you don't have that data to actually have conviction about putting resources towards a particular direction.
Right. The architecture behind the big data may be designed so that it just fulfills what the designers wanted, right?
Yeah.
It's just
and there's a lot of data that's basically survey data, which is asking people like their opinion, which is useless.
Right.
Henry Ford, if I asked people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse.
Right. Right.
You're not asking opinions. What designers are doing is they're creating data by creating experiences or decision points that reveal what people actually do. Because as far as they're concerned, they're actually doing it. One of my favorite examples we tell in the book, you guys love this. Working with a team at Bridgestone that was trying to create a new kind of a services product because, tires are largely commodities and they wanted to create a services business. And one of the opportunity areas they found was Uber drivers and Lyft drivers had this, they felt real angst about when they had to have like a tire repair, for example, because for, the average member of the population, it's like, you get a flat. A flat is kind of equally inconvenient whenever, right?
Right.
Uber drivers like, you know what? A flat on a Friday is way more inconvenient than a flat on a Tuesday. Because a flat on a Tuesday, I lose $50 revenue. Flat on a Friday, I'm losing like $1,000 in revenue. So if I'm going to do maintenance, I want to do it on a cheap day rather than an expensive day from an opportunity cost perspective. So the Bridgestone team developed, they called it Tread Alert, a very simple system that basically, or this was even an idea, forget like the technology. It's an idea of what if there's a mat that it could instantaneously read tread and then give a recommendation about when to take preventative action so that your weekend doesn't get blown up. Okay. Well, what Erica Walsh, she's the head of innovation there, what she said ordinarily is they throw that idea over the wall to R&D. And then R&D is going to do like Star Wars laser technology to figure out like down to the 9th decimal place, can we measure tire tread with a mat? And what we say is answer the right question. The right question is not can we do it technologically? The right question is should we do it? Does a human being want us to do it? And if you realize that the question is should we, not can we, the way you answer should we is totally different than can we. An R&D team is needed. 6 months are needed for the can we question. For the should we question, they went to Target and they bought several bath mats and they put bath mats in a parking spot. They looked like sensors, right? And then they had a sign saying Bridgestone Tread Alert, space number 176, right? And then if people came in, they would send them a canned text message and then they would see how did they respond, right?
That's freaking awesome.
The point is they're trying to figure out, does learning something that we believe is urgent affect does it cause someone to take preventative action?
And
are people getting out going, can I get a rental car? Or are they getting out going, whatever, I'm fine. Right. And if they're whatever, then let's not spend 6 months and $500,000 of R&D time building this thing. Right. Yeah. If they're urgent and they want to take action and it affects their behavior, by all means, let's commission an R&D exploration, right? But to me, like the magical thing with what Erica and her team did there is they thought they're very clever in commissioning the right experiment. And a lot of times what the big kind of unlock for people is getting clever about how do I design a high learning experiment that's like, I think their total bill from Target was like $14.60. Okay. Like it's not like it was an expensive thing.
Right.
They were really thoughtful about how do we keep it cheap? How do we keep learning cheap so we don't so that failure is not expensive?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. So tell us a little bit about the book. Obviously, we can get the book on Amazon.
Yes, please do.
I always ask people where can we get it, but clearly we know. So it was released a year ago?
Yeah, it just came out October 2022. And we've been kind of on the podcast tour, on the speaking tour. And what I would say is I feel the book, it's getting great reception everywhere that people read it. But I don't feel like we have found our tribe really, personally. I don't know if you've heard like James Clear, he kind of, he talks about with Atomic Habits. He tried VCs. It didn't really take off there. He tried homeschool moms. It didn't really take off there. He tried CrossFitters, and it was just kind of, for whatever reason in the CrossFit community, you could think like existentially, good habits are just as important to venture capital as they are homeschooling, as they are to CrossFit. But for whatever reason, the CrossFit community kind of took it up and ran, and now it's like, Uber bestseller. Yeah. I think for me, where I see Ideaflow right now is everybody reads it, loves it, and they tell somebody about it, but we have yet to find the community that's become like super rabid fans. And so I'm always eager to hear, where are people? How are they using the tools? Where are they finding them valuable? I'm interacting right now with high school teachers and folks who run maker labs, right? And heads of innovation and HR officers who are all about employee engagement. And so there's and then there's the whole kind of health and wellness angle. I've talked to some wellness influencers who are going, creative health is actually, it's a thing nobody's really paying attention to. So all that say, there's a bunch of different areas where people are finding relevancy. And of course, my mom doesn't think it's a business book at all. My mom thinks it's a life, it's a self-help book, right? Which it is. But all that say, we're eager to be finding our people. And for folks who find these tools and these methods relevant, we're eager to shine a spotlight on amazing practitioners. I mean, my favorite thing is highlighting people like Erica and Philippe and KGZ and saying, these are people who are doing cool stuff in the world, hopefully we have less stories like the Silicon Valley Bank story, the hotel story, people just getting blindsided by stuff, and more stories about people inventing the future. That's my hope for the book.
I love it. I think, from my opinion, for what it's worth, obviously entrepreneurs, so many people, business owners, especially now in this, ever-changing world, as we've spoke about for the last hour, it's like, where's our business going? What other businesses am I going to invest in? Right. So like business owners that are looking to pivot or interested in entrepreneurship, this is a fantastic, something that's fantastic to spur ideas, but also marketing. Marketing is another one of those things. And it's all the same concepts, right? It's marketing is and it's funny with marketing. You always think like, oh, they're good marketers, and they're and like the best marketers on the planet test 1 billion hooks to find the hook that works. Like it's just
every single word
so good. And each one, like each genius marketer that you see will tell you the same thing. Some of the ideas that I come up with, I think are going to be gangbusters, fall flat. Most of them do. And like they just let the market dictate the result. So
if cool. you know of people that I should study, especially like in marketing, for example, I am, as I said from the beginning, I'm an unashamed nerd and purveyor of these kinds of stories. So if there's somebody that I should be researching or learning more about or connecting with, I welcome your recommendations.
100%.
Cool.
Super cool, man. I love it. I'm super stoked to listen to the book. Is it on Audible?
Yeah.
I already ordered it. I ordered the paper one. I like the paper.
I do too. I'm with you. I like the paper as well. Not that I don't enjoy my own sultry, dulcet tones, but I like it.
Are you reading it on Audible?
Yeah. Me and Perry, my co-author, we
cool.
kind of swap chapters. Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Nice.
That's awesome, man. I love it. And you have a podcast as well.
Yeah, Paint and Pipette. I feature kind of master practitioners of the creative craft. So folks like Ed Catmull, the founder of Pixar, or Kevin Kelly, as we've mentioned before,
Wow.
Linda Hill, Harvard Business School professor.
Oh, cool.
Folks who really are doing wildly creative things. I try to showcase their tactics and behaviors so that it makes developing one's creative craft more approachable.
I love it.
Cool.
Even, dude, your experiences, your stories are so, I mean, they're so spurring of ideas just based off of different industries that, you know, I'm unfamiliar with, right? So it's like,
no, but it's, I mean,
cool.
these themes and patterns recur across, they're cross industry, you know,
Yeah.
they're just as applicable to somebody in insurance as they are to somebody in, you know, other industries, advertising or parenting. You know, I use this stuff in my parenting.
Yeah, I have 4 kids as well. I have 2 daughters and 2 sons, ranging from 4 years old to 11 years old. So
yeah, okay.
I
I'm 4 to 11 as well. 4 to 11.
Oh, nice. Yeah. It's cool, man. It's like kids are the best because you do see the world totally differently. Like you're talking about walking with them and how they ponder, and it's just like, and then it's almost like a mirror of a reflection of like, it really points out your faults and you got to work on yourself. And it's super cool. It's challenging, but super cool, man.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate the enthusiasm. Hopefully I'm eager to hear from your audience and what resonates for them. And if folks, I mean, feel free, they can reach out to me through, you know, I'm easy to find, Twitter, LinkedIn, you know, that sort of stuff. But I love talking to people who are seriously trying stuff in their lives, and anything I can do to assist them, I'm happy to do.
Nice. I love it. And it's Jeremy Utley, Utley. What are the platforms that you're on?
Yeah, probably LinkedIn is probably my biggest following. And then Twitter, Instagram. I'm experimenting with Instagram. I talked to a wellness influencer the other day who told me it's absolutely unacceptable that I'm not on Instagram. I've been trying a few things, but it's tough. So
it's just as tough. And I see my wife on it all the time. I'm just like that.
Yeah. I'm trying. I'm dabbling. I don't know if you can dabble, but I haven't.
Well,
I haven't
you
jumped
are
in with both feet. Let's put it that way.
Have you met Huberman? Do you know Huberman?
I would love to know. I've been on a couple of emails with him, so we've definitely emailed. But I would love to get him on the show. I would absolutely.
Yeah, you should. I mean, you've had some big names. He should come on.
He's incredible.
He's so cool. I love his. Oh man, it's such a good podcast.
Yeah, he's remarkable. Totally remarkable.
Yeah,
he's out of my league now, I think. Unfortunately,
he's really doing it, man. He's something else.
Yeah,
really good.
Yeah, totally.
Well, thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. This has been an awesome hour.
Yeah, my pleasure. No, I really enjoyed chatting with you guys. And seriously, I mean, let me know what I can do to promote, amplify. Cool. If folks reach out asking for information, you know, one thing, we have a bonus chapter it's on my website and on the book website called How to Think Like Bezos in Jobs, which is all about, and it's free. Folks can download it. But there's a great, as I said, these themes and mindsets and tools recur throughout disciplines. And so you start to see these kind of rhyming patterns. And the thing that makes breakthrough thinkers different is how they think. And we can all think differently too, right? And so it's really a learned skill, and it's a learned practice that hopefully the book and you know, my writing and things like that make more accessible for everyone.
Oh, so good.
So awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.